Here we are, day 2, Indy Sports Show Live. We are ecstatic to be back here at the Indy Sports Show Live studios. We are in the Champions Pavilion. We're going to be here all day long. Stop by. You're going to be amazed at the people that we have coming here to our stage today. Remind you, we're going to be here next weekend as well. We've got over 40 top-notch guests and pros and exhibitors who are going to be here with us. And of course, I am Brian Pointer, the host of Indy Sports Show Live. We're going to kick things off. Really looking forward to this. Mike Del Visco, it's great to have you here at Indy Sports Show Live.
Nice to be here this Sunday morning.
It is indeed, and you've been doing seminars, and I heard you say 30 years you've been coming to the Boat Sport and Travel Show.
Been coming here for a long, long time, and I've seen this show grow from what it was 30 years ago to what it is now. And
talk about that from your experience as a professional angler. What have you seen change?
The technology, really, and that's, coincidentally, that's like my forte in the fishing industry is the technology and the sonar stuff. What's cool about coming here now is that we can do Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Look at this, social media live, right here at the sports show, talking to the fans, showing them what's going on, talking about whatever we want to. It's really cool, and you couldn't do that 30 years ago. We didn't even have cell phones 30 years ago.
What's amazing is you remember back in the day when they used to close the Coliseum down and have the entertainment and the shows and wrestling with a bear or some show. I want to do a retro Ford Boat Sport and Travel show sometime and go back to that for whatever we can, because that was so much fun. So social media, you've got a huge presence on social media, and I know that you do a lot of your own YouTube videos. Is that a distraction for you? Do you like that?
I do like to do that, and I need to do more of them. The thing is, we get so busy with sport shows and tournaments and promos and appearances, and I have a bunch of videos that are ready. I just haven't had time to get home and edit them, but I like doing those kind of how-to. And there's all kinds of different presence in social media, from the comical guys to guys that are trying to teach you something, and that's what I like to do. That's what I've done my entire career in this industry, is try to teach somebody something. If I can show somebody how to do a different technique, or understand how to read their sonar, or what they're looking for when they're going out fishing the next time, and then come back here to the Indianapolis Boat Sport Travel Show next year, have that person come up to me and tell me, hey, that little tip you told me last year really helped. Makes my day.
The world of fishing in general, all the guests that we've had have all said the same thing. Literally, sometime in one of our conversations, there's been, I love to teach, and I love it when the people come back. Well, when you have 30 years of coming back to the Boat Sport and Travel Show, you've got a lot of fans here. You got started fishing. I think you fished your first tournament in Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. The most unlikely place on earth to be a professional bass fisherman.
How did you?
And it's despite being up north, there's a lot of good fishing up in the Northeast. Look at from a radius of central Massachusetts, and look at Lake Champlain, look at the Hudson River, look at Lake Winnipesaukee, look at all those different lakes up there, within a couple hours. And there's some great places to go fish.
Do you ever get back up there and fish some of those places?
I do. Every summer, I usually wait till it gets a little nicer out before I head back up there and go try to fish. But I head up to Maine every summer, have a great time fishing up there. There's just tremendous fishing there. Everybody up in the Northeast is kind of spoiled. I live down south now, and they all want to come down south to go fish, because they're going to think they're going to catch a 10-pound bass. I want to go up in the Northeast and fish and go catch a giant 5-pound smallmouth.
You've got it all in perspective. Texas Roadhouse has been a sponsor of yours. Out on the circuit, you fish 12, 15 tournaments a year. You've got that beautiful Texas Roadhouse boat. I'm just glad that Texas Roadhouse opened up a new restaurant right near me. So hopefully you'll come up to Westfield this year, do your promotions at the stores, and we'll have an opportunity to say hello at that time. You bring up starting your first tournament when you were 16, 17 years old. there weren't bass fishing clubs in high school. There weren't college fishing clubs like there are today. That's exploded.
Yeah, it sure has. That's over the last 10 years, the high school, college fishing, and also junior high. There's a lot of junior high clubs now too. Something that I didn't have 30 years ago when I was growing up. I had to fish a series of junior Bassmaster local club tournaments, learning from the adults, getting into the adult club when I was 17, 18, and learning from those guys, and then progressing to where I am today. But that was my progression growing up. Now the kids have high school, college fishing, scholarships. Some of the college kids are even right now on the Elite Series Tour, the FLW Tour, Major League Fishing Tour, and winning world championships.
Let's go to what your passion is, electronics. Can you imagine the generation that we just talked about and what they're going to be able to do with electronics? And I know that's what you're doing your seminars on here. Yeah. That's changed an awful lot.
Excuse me. Yes, it has. And that's, you think back 30 years ago, I tell this story in my sonar seminars. Joe Thomas, who I'm sure you're probably going to have.
He'll be here later today.
Later today. We actually ran into each other yesterday, and I told him this story. I said, Joe, I tell this story at every single sonar seminar that I do about the very first Bassmaster Invitational tournament that I fished while I was just about a senior in high school. We were both in our 20s. We draw each other out. Joe says, we're going to go drive 50 miles down the lake to go find this bay to go catch some fish. No GPS, no mapping systems, hardly sonar that you could look at the bottom with. We had to fish more 30 years ago and look less. Now you can look more and fish less to figure out how to catch some fish. We had a great day. We've been friends ever since. But that period in time really sticks in my head, and I tell that story to give perspective a little bit to the fact that over 30 years as sonar and the technology changed quite a bit. The principles of sonar, however, don't. It's still the same principle 30 years ago as it is today. Technology is different, and that's what I try to stress with people when they come in to hear one of my seminars, is that I try to break things down, make it easy for them, and help them understand how to catch fish using sonar.
Well, that's what I thought you were coming on Indy Sports Show Live, was just to get to the 5 minutes and tell us the secret. How do you catch more fish?
Yeah.
So you've got an interesting story, your family. I know I heard an anecdote that you were offered a trip as a young boy, either to go fishing with your dad or to go on a trip to California with your mom. Which one did you choose? Fishing with your dad.
Yeah.
And it started at a young age. So you look around, and we've seen young people coming out here, the way they're going to be able to manipulate and understand not only the support with mentors, but now with they'll be able to manage the technology so much easier. You're going to have to give it a run for your money if you're going to stay in this business for a long time.
Yeah, and the cool thing about doing this and keeping up with the technology is that, it's exciting to see where it's going to go 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Look at what's happened in the last, just 5 or 10 years with mapping, with side scan, down scan, all these different things that help us catch fish or find the places where fish live. Not so much, anybody can go ride around and go find stuff, with mapping systems and things like that. I like taking it one step further and looking for the subtleties within those areas. The old saying, and I know you've heard this, is that 90% of the fish live in 10% of the lake, and that is so true. Because every time we go out there fishing, we don't just catch them everywhere we go. It'd be fun if we did, but we don't. It's the process of breaking that down, figuring out where the fish live on any particular day, finding out the little subtleties and changes we need to make during the day to catch those fish. And in my business of tournament fishing, the one who does that the best wins.
Who's the best at it besides yourself?
I don't claim to be the best at it. I'm pretty good at understanding things, the technology end of it. Probably the best guy at adjusting that I've ever seen on the water is Kevin Van Dam, obviously. I've had a chance to fish against him. I see him on the water. You see just how he breaks things down. He's the quickest that I know of at breaking, at adjusting once things go wrong. because I can guarantee you when you're out there fishing from a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, minute-to-minute basis, things are going to change.
So when we're talking about the young anglers and changing, what advice do you give to the young anglers that you talk to?
Keep an open mind when you're out there fishing. Don't ever get kind of position where you're only doing like a one-dimensional thing on the water. Become good and versatile at a bunch of different techniques, and that's, you know, understanding it you know, kind of all goes back to the sonar aspect too, especially trying to get off the bank. Now my strength, and I'm sure a strength of a lot of guys, are shallow water fishermen. You know, we love throwing topwater baits. We love throwing skipping jigs under docks and throwing chatterbaits and spinnerbaits and squirtbill crankbaits. But there's times when you need to get off the bank. And when you have to do that, it becomes difficult if you're not comfortable doing that to understand what you're actually doing out there deep. So have the kind of the wherewithal to expand your versatility when you're out there. The more techniques that you can learn, the more ways you can learn how to catch some fish, the better off you'll be.
Who do you not want to fish against? Who do you not want to be competing with?
I'll compete against anybody. I don't care who they are. You know, competition makes you better. You know, if you don't fish against the best guys, you're not going to push yourself. And I like, the thing that I like about fishing, regardless if it's a tournament or just going out fun fishing, is that you're always trying to think about how to catch some fish. And having that competition drive you, whether you get beat, there's nothing better, and this is going to sound strange, there is nothing better than going out and bombing the first day on a tournament, only to get done, go back to the hotel, and be fired up to go fish the next day.
Well, you've certainly carried that passion over 30 plus years of doing this. Who's the nicest guy that's a professional bass fisherman on the tours? Nicest. All around good guy.
I mean, there's so many of them that I've known, you know, throughout 30 years of doing this. I don't know if I could put...
Every one of the guys and gals that we've interviewed here on Indie Sports Show Live, or who I've been on my radio show now for 20 years, that is something I think is very unique about the professional fishing world.
Yeah.
Everybody is friends. They'll share information. They'll hang out after the tournaments.
Yeah.
I wanted to put you on the spot just to see.
I'll throw one plug out there. Probably Joe Thomas.
You know,
just because I've known Joe, you know, for 30 some odd years, we've actually drawn each other 3 times in tournaments.
Is that right?
So we've got to compete against each other 3 different times. And he is the same guy 30 years ago as he is today.
He's probably one of the hardest working guys in the industry too. And I don't know how that guy fishes, hunts, travels the world, and he's still a nice guy.
He does not stop. And part of the thing in this business is the business end of the sport. You know, there's very few guys who can go out there and just make a living fishing tournaments. It does not happen often. I learned that years ago from a couple of different guys. Joe was one of them, Bernie Schultz was the other, because they were very promotional minded, business savvy, fishermen coming up. Joe's always had done something a little bit different, and Bernie the same way. And I got to know both of those guys early in my career, and kind of, you know, took a took a page out of their book and learned what they do and applied it to what I try to do.
You're truly one of the nicest guys on the tour, so thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know you're getting ready to do a session over in the new seminar area.
Yes.
That's a lot nicer this year, isn't it?
Yes, I love it over there. It's awesome.
A little more room?
Seminar lounge, a little more room, great screen, plenty of room for everybody to come in.
What's something about you that people don't know?
If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you know I like to cook when I'm not fishing. And had I probably not done this for a living, I think I would probably own a very small Italian restaurant, no menu, come in and sit down, 10 seats, eat what I cook that night, and go, no walk-ins, reservation only.
Wow. I think there's room for that in your future.
If I could carve out enough time in my schedule, maybe I'd make it happen.
We are at the wonderful Travel Cafe. We're at the 65th annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show. Starting this off the way we always like to, we wait and bring the biggest at the beginning, And that's what we did today. Mike Delvisco, thank you so much. Go teach some people. And we're nowhere even close to finishing. We're going to have so much fun the rest of the day. At the 65th Annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show, I'm Brian Pointer, host of the Indy Sports Show Live.